Welcome to the Louie Herron Podcast, where I'm going deep into business, sales, leadership, and life. And I mean life, from the boardroom to the bedroom, from business acquisitions to personal addictions, from being saved yet still feeling like a slave, from manning up to mousing out, dealing with divinity to reality. This podcast is dedicated to growth, learning, inspiration, and healing. Jump in, hang on, and hang out. You'll never know which topic I'll tackle next. But one thing's for certain, I'm here to share my experiences, strengths, failures, and hope, all to help us live life at the highest level we can. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode, Louie Herron Podcast. Taking the show on the road. I am not in my typical home office. I am actually in Montgomery, Alabama. So if I'm not doing any teaching, coaching, consulting, training events, I will oftentimes take part of my business and work with dealers, and we're doing an event here at a Toyota store in Alabama. So excited to be here. Tired. It is currently December 31st, 8:08 p.m. Can you believe it? Can you believe just in a few hours it will be 2024? Oof, what a year. Can you guys say that? Can you guys say, wow, what a year 2023 was? You know, that could be a good woof or it could be a woof. But the good news is either way, we move forward. We move forward. And, you know, if you listen to my podcast, you know, we talk about leadership, business, sales, and life's lessons. And I've done a podcast at 5 pillars of taking a business from 0 to 60 in 60 days or less. If you hadn't caught that one, I think you should catch it. If you own a business or you're thinking about buying a business, I think it would be good for you to hear. Today we're talking leadership, specific leadership. Now, again, along my journey, I get the privilege of connecting with great leaders in the auto industry, in other industries. Have conversation with solid people that deal with staffs, deal with leadership, and you know, obviously, you got to lead yourself if you're capable of leading other people. That's first and foremost. And if you're like me, that can be a struggle. But I will tell you, even though you struggle leading yourself, you still have to go to work, or you still own your business, or you still have team members that work with you. So you gotta get this craft, and you've got to master the craft. And if there's anything I can tell you in business, when you're doing whatever business that you're in, you've got to master it. And some of the biggest things that we deal with in business is analytics and numbers and key performance indices. And we look at all these things, but we overlook the HR side, right? The people side. There are people that we serve that buy our products and services, and there's also people that we serve that are in our businesses. So again, we're going to talk leadership, and really, I've got 5 things that I've kind of picked up along the way. 30 years of being in the car business, really are applicable to any business because we're talking leadership. And so I want to get right into it, but I want to make sure we understand that leadership is not a noun. Leadership is action, right? So when we're talking about leadership, we're talking about taking action and also isolating and having a keen awareness of what level are you currently at in your leadership. So as I go through these levels, these areas, ask yourself the question: where are you currently in your leadership abilities with your personnel and your staff and your people? First level that I want to talk about, and it's where we all start. It's the position level. It's you got a title, you've got a job description, and you have the position. And people basically follow you because they have to. You're the boss. You've got the title. But remember, um, being in this position doesn't necessarily make you a leader, right? This is supervisor manager is not necessarily leader. So I think it's very important. Like in 1997, I became a sales manager. I became a manager, a leader of the sales staff, but I was by far a leader. I mean, at the time, I was 21 years old, right? So I clearly I could barely lead myself, let alone most individuals that were selling for me were older than I was. The upside to this is I had a chance to define and grow into a leader, and you do too, right? If as you get that first position, title leadership role, you have the upside of actually getting better and growing if you want to master the craft, if you want to put in the time, if you want to learn, read, study some great leaders and really figure that deal out. The downside is The people that follow you will only give you or will actually give you the least amount of energy and effort at this level. Write this down. People don't like to follow people because they have to follow people, right? People don't want to actually follow anybody because they don't really want to have to follow. And so when you're leading people, it's an art, it's a craft, it's a persuasion, it's a connection, it's an encouraging love transfer of getting people enrolled in your vision, right? So again, a big mistake in level one leadership or kind of that entry level is because they think that or they feel like you have the position, they will follow. But unfortunately, it's it's the only reason they do follow is because they get paid by the efforts. Again, the very least energy and effort, heart and mind they will possibly give you. I mean, I'm in dealerships all over the country, and I know if they're a level one company. I mean, I can tell when it's quitting time at 8 p.m. But at 6:30 the people are already checked out. I already know what kind of leaders are in the building. Remember, I mean, I see stores from Los Angeles, California to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to in Atlanta, Georgia. It doesn't matter. I can always tell where the leaders reside. I mean, you think about it. Most of these guys at the level one level, the highlight of the day, is checking out time. I mean, they're focused on what they're going to do for the evening. All because their leader basically is operating that level one status where they have the title. But the great news is you can always go to level 2. And level 2 is kind of I don't know, it's kind of the permission level, right? It's the key to relationships. Now people follow because they want to follow. And it's a big difference between have to and want to, right? Level 1, they have to follow. Level 2, they want to follow. And it's a huge difference. But what happens? What's the difference? The connection happens. If you have connected with your people, you're connecting to a resource. You no longer become that supervisor. You now become the leader that they like. And I'm always amazed when people have leadership positions, but they're not likable. And to me, again, it's not a popularity contest by any imaginations, but remember, you're a leader. You're leading people. And it's tough being in the people business and not have people like you. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this. Maybe you've been a manager, a supervisor, and that's exactly what you are at that point, is a manager and a supervisor. But remember, relationships with people is the foundation of leadership. It's the absolute foundation because leadership's influence, right? So to get a business to move in a certain direction, to get a business to start climbing, to attain the goals that we're all looking for, leaderships is paramount. And again, leadership is influence. And so on the second level, there are three things that come to mind that happen when you become a level two leader. Three things that we have to just kind of really focus on is listen well, observe situations, scenarios, and people, and focus on if our people are actually learning. In the process of listening and learning and observing, they have an attitude, these level two leaders have an attitude of servanthood, but they learn how to love to actually serve. Now, when I say this, I know a lot of people that are in businesses and we're intense people if we own our own businesses and you do it my way or the highway, and everyone's got their style. But remember, leadership is influence, right? So if you're going to influence and persuade and encourage somebody to jump in the boat with you and grab an oar and start rowing, number one, you got to be a good listener. You got to observe what's going on, but you got to be a servant to these people. Like for example, there's a big difference between Chick-fil-A and McDonald's. I mean, think about it. You're in a drive-through line at McDonald's, and the lack of enthusiasm that you receive from the other end and professionalism, by the time you get to the front, you better check your bag, right? I mean, you better check to make sure all your stuff's in there. With Chick-fil-A, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, the respect, the level of servanthood they actually give their customers, that starts from inside. So that's level two. So level two leadership starts with the relationship. Level three leadership is the production level, right? The key word is results. Now, again, we're talking about leading people and having people to follow you, right? So number one, they're not at level one, they're not necessarily going to follow you, right? They're doing what they have to because you're the boss. Level two, you're starting to connect and build a relationship. So now we're starting to gain ground and getting some followers. Level three is a production level. We're building the relationship, but now we're getting results. So this is the level where you are helping the bottom line of the company. You actually become effective as a leader because you produce as and getting results. So again, what's important or what this looks like at the third level is you produce by example. You actually produce yourself. You're involved in the process. The greatest principle in leadership is people do what people see. So when we're leading people or we're leaders and we're going to dictate and tell people all the time what to do. And there's a time and a place where people have to do their jobs. No doubt, right? The quarterback can't do the lineman's job, right? We understand that. And the coach can't get on the field. However, when you're leading people, they need to know that you're a producer, right? When you're producing and getting results and you're actually involved in making things happen, remember, people see and people perform based on what they see. And too many leaders are kind of like travel agents, man. They send their people where they've never been themselves, right? I mean, you think about it, a lot of times, trainers and coaches and teachers, and they get a bad rap, because maybe they're out of an industry and into another business, and now they're training or coaching or whatever the case may be, and they always get teased and harassed that they teach and because they can't do right. But if you're a solid leader, like I can look back in the days in the car business, like, there's not a job in the car business I can't do, and it's because I've done those jobs, and it doesn't make me great. It doesn't make me the best leader in the world. It just means at the level 3 leadership level for me personally, I was a producer. I was a doer, and remember, people did what they saw. So when I'm making deposits into myself in front of my people and getting engaged, and you do the same, you are taking your level to you're producing at a level, they're gonna perform with you. Right? You don't wanna be that travel agent where, you're trying to send people where you've never done something yourself, right? So I think it's important to understand at the level 3 production level that you get engaged. It's like I can remember even when, I had the good fortune to own a few car dealerships, there were moments where it was tight and we needed all hands on deck and we needed to close the month out strong, and I was right there working deals and on the phones with banks and with customers trying to make deals to close the month, to close the year. There are times where that's just got to happen. So it's important that you know at the level 3 leadership, it gets really really good because you're modeling out the things for your people to see, and now they start producing. But because you're not becoming, I guess, productive. What do you think you attract, right? When you become extremely productive, what do you think you attract? If you become extremely loving, what do you think you attract? If you become extremely generous, what do you think you attract, right? We attract more of who we are. So if you're producing at the level 3 level, you're going to attract more productive people. Right? So it's kinda like the law of magnetism, right? I know John Maxwell talks about the law of magnetism. We attract who we are, not who we want, right? So if we become the very same thing that we want around us, we've gotta actually do. So, I ask some GMs when I'm, counseling with them, coaching with them, or doing some consulting work. I'll say something like, what are you looking for in your people? Give me a list. Like, write a list down. They'll say, I want an intense, I want integrity, I want an honest, I want a capable. And then I look at them and I say, let me ask you something. How much of this do you possess? How many of those qualities do you possess? And again, I'm not challenging them in a way where I disbelief that they're that person. I'm just illustrating that the very same things that we want, that's who we're going to attract to us. I mean, level 3 is basically you are, as the leader, who you attract to your team. That's the bottom line. So, I mean, again, you are, as the leader, who you attract to your team. And so, again, the level 3 level, this is where we have a chance to produce and perform in a way that attracts the people that we're looking for. I mean, you got to remember, momentum is your best friend. Momentum, right? It's easier to grow, it's easier to lead when you have momentum. right? And if you could write this down, if hopefully you're not driving, if you could write this down, manager to try to solve problems while leaders try to create momentum. There's a huge different perspective. Managers and supervisors try to solve problems, but leaders, they're focused on creating momentum. Think about this. Momentum actually solves 80% of the problems. I mean, literally, like literally. Momentum is a problem solver, right? Think about in your body, your being, your balance, and your business, right? The lack is the problem stopper, right? The lack of momentum is what stops you. Think about it. We all, you hear me talk about it all the time, expansion and growth, right? Expansion, not perfection. We talk about your body and your health and your fitness. You talk about your relationships. You talk about your business. It's the lack of doing the things as the problem stopper. Think about when you get momentum, right? Momentum in your in personal relationships, momentum in the gym, momentum of eating the right food. You start to gain ground. You start to gain ground. And if you fall back one day, you get right back up, right? But if you don't have a sense of momentum and you fall down one day, it becomes 3 days. Then it becomes 7 days you fell down, right? So again, a manager or a supervisor spends a lot of time trying to solve problems, but leaders try to create momentum, right? Very, very important. Think about this for a second. When you're talking about momentum, you take a train, right? That literally, um, let's just say a train's it's going down the track. It's going down the track, right? You could hear it coming, and all of a sudden there's this concrete wall, but that train's coming, and that train's coming, and then boom, it goes right through because it's got momentum. Yet I can have a train sitting on a track and have a little tiny cement block that blocks it. It can't even get going. It's stopped. So again, momentum is a huge part of leadership, right? And the problem is not normally the problem. Momentum fixes all problems. I mean, it fixes problems in sports, it fixes problems in the government, it fixes problems in business, it fixes problems in your marriage. Momentum. As a leader, you got to focus on getting momentum. And you got to get good at level three. To get good at level three, you got to get the mo going. And I think you guys obviously in all side of your work, or really all of it, body, being, balance, and business, you all can gain that sense of momentum you're looking for. It's available to all of us, right? At any given moment. So again, let's move on to level four. So level one, you got the title. Level two, you're building some relationships. Level three, you're producing. Now, you think about where you're at in your leadership abilities. And are your people following you because you have a title? Are they following you because you're starting to connect and build a relationship with them? Are they following you because you have the title, building a relationship, and now you're starting to produce? You're getting results to the bottom line, and you are making an impact in the business, and they want to become like you. They're attracted to that. They want what you have. They want to become who you are, but you're modeling that. Now, level four is the people development level, right? This is to me, this is the best part of leadership I ever had in my industry, in the automobile industry, but it's in any business. This is the sweet spot, right? And I love this part. This is where the magic happens. This is when you realize your people are your greatest asset and you yearn to grow them and love them. And this is how you grow your company. The level four level is where you're developing people. This is where you're growing your people. And as a leader that gets to level four, this is not a task, man. This is something you enjoy. This is like, man, who are my two or three top guys? And I'm ready to grow them, right? Their capacity and container increases and then your business increases, right? So you heard me talk about container and capacity. All of us have a certain container and all of us have a certain capacity in all areas of our life, of how we view things, how we handle things, right? The container is how much you can actually physically hold in your mind that you can understand, and obviously the capacity to gather that information. If you're training your people to grow, their capacity gets bigger, their container gets bigger. That's why they go from a sales to a sales manager to a general sales manager to a general manager to a partner in a business to an owner of a business. The capacity of somebody who owns a business is much larger than the sales representative that works for that business. And as a level four leader, this is where you get to develop those people. Right. So three key things come to mind when I'm thinking about level four as I talk with powerful, strong leaders and I think about some of my past experience. The first thing is recruitment. right? The better the person, the higher the odds you can do well with them, right? So you find up front the good players versus the bad players, the good versus the bad, right? The better the quality the person, the more you're able to shape and mold and grow that person. 80% of your success with people is who you bring in, who you hire. That eye for that young guy or that young female that's got the skills and the ability and the work ethic, the qualities that you're looking for. Do you have, you know, do you consider or do you even know if you have a clear picture of what you're looking for as a leader? Level four, not talking level one, guys. Level one leaders aren't thinking about growing people. A level one leader does not care about growing people. He's got a title, man. He's feeling good. He's walking around. He's got his badge on. He's not even in the stratosphere of leadership. He is a manager. But a level four leader, right, has a clear picture of who he's trying to grow, the qualities, the that individual intangibles, right? You're looking for that particular person, right? But you again, the better the person, the higher the odds that you can do well with them. The second thing that comes to mind is positioning, right? The ability to get the right people in the right seat, right? Secret, is you place your players at what they're good at. Find the right people and put them in the right positions. I mean, you think about it. You take a football team. You take Tom Brady's football team and you got the best players that play on that team, on that offense, that best 11, and then all of a sudden you start switching people up. It's the same people, but they're in the wrong position. Right. Most of you know I'm a huge Dolphin fan, right? So we got Tyreek Hill and we got Tua and we got Waddle and we got all these different players, right? And if I were to interchange those and put Tyreek on the offensive line and take my guard and put him out wide, take Tua and make him the center, take the center, make him the quarterback, it's the same 11 on the field. They're not going to perform very well because they're out of position. So if you look at your teams, and I know sometimes you may think, because I went through it, well, if I move John here, he really likes to do it. He hates being on phones. Well, you know what? If John's the best on the phones, put his ass on the phones because that's where he's good at, right? And your job as a leader is to convince, persuade, and motivate and inspire him to understand the vision of what you're trying to create. And by the way, John, this is what's in it for you when we can get this thing and grow this thing and get it to this level, buddy. You ain't gonna be there forever, right? I hope that makes sense to you guys. If it, understanding the power of putting people in the right position. But successful leaders discover what their people are good at. And once they find that, they put them where they need to be. I mean, the level four leader is always looking at the people, observing and watching. And really, it doesn't matter how talented you are if you're at a position. I mean, you'll never reach your full potential. That goes for me, right? That goes for me as well. I mean, I operated businesses. I've owned and operated dealerships. That doesn't mean my best position was the owner. I mean, I'm no dummy. I mean, I'm a communicator, man. I'm a motivator. I'm an inspirer. I am a closer. I am a marketer. I am a promoter. All of those don't necessarily coincide with ownership or being the owner, right? Some owners, have just great business acumen and their skill level to fine tune processes and again, I had to learn those things. I had to operate in that, but I was also smart enough to bring in my odds got better when I brought in good comptrollers, right? Good office managers that knew numbers, that built great spreadsheets, that provided data for me every single morning when I walked into my dealership for me to isolate and understand quickly without me having to dig deep and find and look. And there's all different things. Same thing with the parts and service department in my dealerships. I mean, I understand parts and service. It doesn't mean I want to go back and write service or go change the oil. That's not necessarily where I'm most gifted at, right? So again, you got to put your people in the right positions and make sure that you're focused on bringing in the right people. And again, I think when it comes to get your people in the right position, I mean, you've got to really be fantastic at a level four, recruit well, position well, and equipped well, right? Because you got to recruit well, position well, and equip them well. What do I mean by equipping somebody? That means multiplying yourself. That means getting out of self, getting out of your ego, not being scared that you're going to teach somebody quote unquote too much. Bro, that's what you this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to multiply yourself. And what you do is you equipped your individual people again with kind of three things come to mind. I do it, which means you can't teach what you can't do, right? So how do I equip somebody, right? I do it first, right? And then, they do it with me, right? This is the mentor phase, right? And then I pass the baton and I say, hey, buddy, you do it. And I hand the ball off, right? To help. And I'm there to help them. And then you allow them to do it by themselves, right? That's equipping your people. And so when you have the mindset to grow people, you have your mindset in that level 2 to develop people. This is when compounding happens. You start to compound time, money, and influence. Does that make sense? When you start equipping people, you start compounding because you're multiplying yourself. So you're gaining more time, you're gaining more money, and you're gaining more influence within either your community with your business or acquiring more businesses. When you can train somebody who can actually train somebody else. So I've equipped my people and I've taught them how to equip other people. And then now those people are learning how to equip other people. That's a compound effect. I mean, level 4 is a beautiful level because that's where you get to develop and grow people. But listen, there's still another level. There's still level 5, right? This is kind of the pinnacle level. And I can tell you from my personal experience, can go up and down. I mean, I can battle back and forth. Like I can hit level 4, maintain it, creep up to level 5, then drop back down to level 4, right? Because level 5 it's respect. And so many for so long, I mean, people just follow you 100% because of the respect they have for you, because of who you are and what you've done for them. This is a lifelong level. Remember, people are following you at this level because they believe in you, they believe in themselves, you've equipped them, and you've helped them financially, you've helped them grow in the capacity to help their families, and so again, the level 5 leadership is really when you're looking at all 5 levels, the goal is if I'm a leader, and we'll replace that with manager or supervisor or general manager or even owner, right? Yeah, I'm a leader. We got the manager title, but you're the leader. You are the leader. Leadership. It's a verb, it's action, it's doing something. You can stay at level 1 and do as I say because I tell you to do it, but you're probably not going to get very far. You're not going to build big businesses that way. You're going to lose some people and you're going to have to continue to replace people and then lose them and then replace them again and then lose them again. And so when you go through that process, it's an HR nightmare. You're spending a ton of money on getting new people and retraining, becoming a great leader and growing yourself to the levels you need to be saves you a lot of time, saves you a lot of money, and it builds and expands your companies to where you want them to be. So hopefully you've said to yourself, or maybe you've asked yourself, what level am I on? Right? Like, are you thinking to yourself, okay, level 1, I've got a title. Level 2, I'm starting to build some relationships and I got the title. Level 3, I'm working on some personal growth, or my production rather, excuse me. Level 4, I'm starting to grow some people, equip some people. Level 5, man, I've helped some people so much to where they follow me through the wall. Doesn't matter where I go, they're always with me because of the respect they have for me as a human being and what I've done. Where am I at? Where are you at? The good news is this. Every individual you employ, every team member that you have, you're going to be on different levels with every one of them. It's hard to collectively be on the same level with everybody, right? Because everyone's personality is different. But if you can get there, you mark my words, your business is probably it's thriving. So the thing to remember that everyone you lead are also on different levels with you. You're on different levels with them, but they're on different levels with you. And they're going to react differently, right? So the key is you cast your vision. Remember that leadership is influence. So you got to study great leaders, right? That means whether it's podcasts, whether it's books. Look, great leaders right? Readers are leaders, right? And then what do they always say? To be a great leader, you've got to study, practice, drill, rehearse. Study, practice, drill, rehearse. It's not something you get just overnight. And it's not something you get with just tenure and experience. You have some guys that's been a manager for 20 years, and it's all because they have a title. They haven't done anything to grow themselves to become a better influencer or leader within their company. You've seen them, you've worked with them, maybe you are one of them. I don't know. Maybe you've been in the business for 11 years and you've been a manager, but you're still at that level 1 position. So, when we talk about the Louie Herron Podcast, we're talking about leadership, business, sales, and life's lessons. We're talking about all the things that help men grow their companies, grow their businesses, grow themselves, focusing on expansion, not perfection. We want to get better every single day. I drop a new episode every single week. And look, guys, I will tell you the greatest form of reciprocity. If you like what you hear, or there's just one thing you took away, or maybe you want to, maybe someone else to hear this, look, I would love for you to share it. You know, make a comment, and just get better. Just again, give to others and let others give back to you. Again, sometimes as human beings, we focus too much on our needs versus actually planting good seeds, right? The ego in me, in Louis, always wants my needs met when I should really be focused on handling others' seeds that I could be planting and helping the other people grow. Because in the end, that's the old adage, sowing and reaping. So give of yourself, give of your time, be great, be special. Look, if no one's told you that they love you, just know that if you listen to this podcast, I love you, man. I appreciate you taking your time, valuable time, to grow, expand, get better. And again, hopefully it resonates with you. I'll be dropping the next episode next week. As we move forward, course correct this week. Have a killer week, and we'll see you next time on the Louie Herron Podcast.